Hello everybody, it's Dennis Jolly. I'm with Spirit Aerosystem Supply Quality. Today I'll be presenting an overview of 7.15.3, applying remote technologies to audit and product acceptance risk tool. You can find this on the SCMH site, and it provides a risk analysis to help you determine your processes with regard to remote auditing and remote product acceptance. The introduction here shows the risk identification and mitigation process as it's broken down into several separate sections, and then some questions to help with determining if you're going to have a problem with that activity at your facility. So with that, to begin, you would click there. It takes you to the second tab, which is the data collection, where you would fill out sections 1 and 2 and provide a response in the yellow shaded fields as identified by the thought bubble here. Would be note that all yellow fields in this guidance are available for input. Fields that have a question mark state select a response or not rated all contain drop-down selections. Fields that do not have a drop-down selection require information to be typed in. So these would require information to be typed in, and down here you would see an example, select a response, where you would select a response, yes or no. Or for this one, you would select a response to be determined remote audit can go ahead or a remote audit cannot go ahead. So this form and this sheet also provide access to the 4 support documents. So here are some guidelines for mutual agreements, for documentation of evidences, technology guidelines, and planning guidelines. So we start with bottom right and go to technology, where you would go through and determine what risk these items would entail at your facility or at your during your activity. So you would select a response so that you can determine what you need to do or actions that you might need to take. You can click here to go back to your data collection sheet, complete this documentation. Again, planning guidelines. This is real important because a remote audit takes a lot more planning than an on-site audit, just because of the amount of effort required to see what's going on out on the floor. So the remote assessment report is located in the bottom section of this, and it automatically populates with your acceptance capability rating before, acceptance rating after mitigation, and then you make the final determinations here and here. So do all the mitigating actions, ensure that all audit and product acceptance requirements can be fully met, and sufficient objective evidence will be available for achieving the objectives. This is a real important statement because you have to be able to be able to achieve all the objectives. So you would select that response here. A no response would, of course, require a complete failure of the process. So with that, let's just say we were going to do a remote audit. So we would click here. It would take you to the remote audit feasibility assessment tool, where you would look at the criteria, eligibility criteria. Here's an example: travel to a specific location is not possible for company mandated health or safety reasons, applicable to all personnel, visitors, company authority imposed travel restrictions, etc. If the answer to that question is true, then it's eligible and it's acceptable up here. If you determine that that answer is false, then it would turn it red. It would make it not acceptable. And then you would have to develop a mitigation plan and document it here, or you can attach other information if you need to. Once you determine if that mitigation plan is acceptable, you would rate it here as being capable, for example, and this would show that, number one, you had a non-acceptable risk prior to mitigation, but after mitigation, it was acceptable, and that's documented here and here. Again, if you go back to the remote assessment report, it shows that here as well, that it was not acceptable before, but it was acceptable afterwards, and you use that to finish out the report. Let's go back to our remote audit. As we're going through all of the questions, you determine that there's a question that is missing. So, or you needed to add information, that's easily done. You right click and insert a row. And then if you grab the top one and drag it all the way down, it automatically numbers. And then you would put your question here. Then you can go up here and highlight the rest of this and drag it down to bring down the formatting and the information. So if true, it turns it eligible, and it also updates here. So that way you can customize this however you like. And if the wording becomes confusing, if you look here at this formula, you can see rating is a field. So it would go and look up that information in the field or in the named range of rating. If you type in opposite rating, sorry about that. You can see that it turns it not eligible. So you can adjust the logic as needed just by adding the word opposite to all of the to the formula. So that way you can have the logic so that it makes sense to you and your team. Okay. So with that, we had a non-eligible or not acceptable condition. After mitigation, everything else was green. It was acceptable. You go here to your assessment report, and that's where you would make a determination if what evidence exists that indicates a remote audit or product acceptance cannot be carried out or may be unable to be fully achieve the event's requirements. You would document that here. Again, do the mitigating actions, ensure that all of the audit or product acceptance requirements can be fully met, and sufficient objective evidence will be available for completing the objective. Answer yes, and you can answer down here. You can have management buy off or document the reason that you selected a response that the audit can go ahead, and then document who it was approved by and then the date of conclusion. The other information that we have available is in a tab called source data. That's where all the named ranges are. Everything is color coded, or most everything is color coded. So the before and after product acceptance, for example, is the purple, and then the salmon color over here is for remote audit, so that you can see the logic in there if you need to. But note that if you delete anything over here, it will affect information all over in the entire spreadsheet. So if you have any questions, though, you can send me a note, and I'd be happy to help you work through it. So with that, I hope there are questions so that we can make this a better tool. If you see an improvement, please send it my way. I'll be happy to implement it. Thank you very much.